Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Hammered and Homers. I'm your co-host, Jacob Pearl. Alongside me is your mom's favorite little leaguer, the Hunter Malone, and we got it all. We're going to be talking prospects. We're going to be talking fantasy baseball predictions episode next week. And without further ado, let's get cracking.
Yes, Jacob. Is it a sin to a little Florida Ave brewery and a Samuel Adams chalice? He told me it's not.
But speaking of Florida Ave, they are the official sponsor of Hammered and Homers, Florida Avenue, home of my boy Blue. Hunter's drinking the Citrus Blitz this fine evening.
Yeah, it's a new flavor, man. It is orange honey wheat ale, brewed for sharing. I've never had it. So the can is actually pretty sick. It's like a Bucks player. It smells really good.
We need to see. We need first reactions.
That's really good, actually. That's a good, it's like almost like a Blue Moon-esque, but it's got a really good flavor to it. Like Blue Moon needs that orange, and like you gotta squeeze the orange in. It doesn't need anything. That's delicious. I actually might have to go get a 6-pack of that tonight.
Again, Florida Avenue, the official sponsor of Hammered and Homers. Home of the Citrus Blitz, home of my boy Blue. Great food as well. Can't complain about it. Without further ado, Hunter, name me a guy that I forgot about.
You know, I don't know if this is really a deep bag, but it hit me. Marlins pitcher. I feel like I usually do pitchers. I like sticking with pitchers. Do you want a righty or do you want a lefty? Which one do you want?
Give me a righty.
A righty? Let me take you back to some Josh Johnson.
My guy, there is Miguel Cabrera, but I'm talking about his unrelated brother, Melky Cabrera.
Okay.
Melky had a nice little career. I think he was a 14-year vet, won a World Series with the Yankees in 2009, All-Star MVP. Numbers ain't gonna wow you, but the name alone is a guy you completely forgot about.
Anyone named Milky, I'm a huge fan of. I had to pull up Josh Johnson because I thought he was like Cy Young caliber. He was a 2-time All-Star and an ERA title. You're 24 WAR. Way better than I thought it was.
I'm watching Miami of Ohio SMU right now at the time of this recording, and it's not Miami of Ohio's fault, but SMU is playing the worst brand of basketball you've ever watched. I just watched a guy shoot a logo 3 and airball it. Just now. People really want to expand this tournament. But we're not here to talk about basketball. You can go to The Deal with D&J to listen to all that.
Yeah, you can.
That you can't. Hunter, let's talk about, we're going to get into predictions next week. So this is kind of a lead into all that, right? But obviously we're talking fantasy baseball in the latter half of the episode. But this season feels like there's a lot of really young guys who are on the cusp in that kind of under 25 or in their first or second seasons, that are ready to prime to break out. We've seen glimpses of some of them, right? So name me your first guy off your list. We're each going to rattle off 3 here, but give me your first guy on the list that you expect in 2026 to have a breakout season this upcoming year.
Yeah, normally we try and get pretty deep in our bag, but when I see a layup, I'm talking about for Miami of Ohio. When I see a layup, I'm gonna put it up there. I like the fundamentals. I can't get up high enough to slam it in, but I can do a layup. And this layup that you gave me, I just watched him play for Team USA. Give me Roman Anthony. He didn't play a full season last year, but man, did he square up the ball. It's a smooth, simple swing that's got such explosive power to it. Gets his whole body in there. It's sexy. It's some pages. Everything is bright red. The guy doesn't chase. He doesn't strike out. He's got a great eye. Already been in the minors for a while, so he's used to the ABS system. So don't worry about him kind of adapting to that. He's got a very good plate, kind of discipline already. Lucky early in the season. He's a guy that if I didn't get him in my fantasy team and he was, going 0 first, I'm watching the games. I'm seeing a hit, line drive from somebody. Line drive, like he's barreling it up. and then finally started to get hot. Those line drives started to drop like they usually do, and then he had the back injury that just ended his season. If the Sox would have gone a little bit later in the playoff run, Marcelo and him would have came back, but unfortunately, the wild card isn't a one-game series; it's now a three-game series. Full 162 ahead of him. Roman Anthony, easy layup breakout star this year. Jacob, who's going to be your number one?
My number one here, he's a guy who I think they're building the franchise around. And when you watch him, you think a little bit of like Ryan Howard, but he's in the outfield. You kind of like he has the big arm. He can go in field really at a high level. So, but when he goes up to bat, feels like Ryan Howard. He feels incredibly well in the outfield. Maybe a little like Matt Holliday-esque kind of in the outfield if we want to talk about total package of the game. And maybe that's my Cardinalism showing with that comparison. But James Wood of the Nationals, man, he started off last year red hot. MVP early conversation, right? He played 157 games last year, 256 batting average, 31 home runs, 94 ribbies, 3.7 WAR. But the second half of that season, man, it just went incredibly downhill for him. And the biggest problem with James Wood, where I think this is where he can break out, I do think James Wood has the ability to be a 40 home run caliber guy. He has to cut down on the strikeouts, though. He had over 200 strikeouts for the Nationals last season, and that's just not something that, if you're going to break out, you can't have that. But for me, I look at it, he's going to be 23, I think, at some point this season. He's got a full season under his belt this past year. It's just what I feel like for James Wood, I feel like he's on his way up there. He is going to be the guy. He's the guy the Nationals are building around him and Cruz and Abrams. God, that's going to be a freezing cold take when they eventually trade all of them. But I think James Wood, I watched him in when he played the Cardinals, and this cat is different. He has such a smooth swing. Like, we both appreciate like really nice swings. He stands up there, bang, smooth, easy, clean power. Right? He's a big body. He fields the ball really well in the outfield. I think he's a dark horse, kind of like, you know, if he stays red hot like he did last season and can put it together the second half of the year, because he was an all-star last year, right? Obviously, he was an all-star, so that kind of like takes away from the breakout per se. But like when I think breakout, I'm thinking like James Wood has the ability to be an MVP caliber guy, similar to Judge. And I think that's maybe the best comparison, is that he kind of is in that Aaron Judge build, right? He's 6'6", plays the outfield incredibly well from Maryland. And yeah, I mean, last season, he in his first season, he only played 80 games, barely count that. Last season, he was an all-star, but 221 strikeouts, you just simply can't happen. We got to cut that number way down. I think he had a 31% like K rate, and that's just not it. But James Wood is my guy. First off, and I want to respond to your Roman Anthony real quick. I think Roman Anthony is going to be a future MVP. We kind of know it, and people are like, "Well, how do you break him out? How is he a breakout guy? Didn't he break out last year? He only played in like 70 games.
He played for like 2 months. Yeah.
He didn't play a full slate of he didn't even get a full, because he had to wait to get called up. Mm-hmm. He played his 70 games and then he got hurt. And then, with talent like that, you don't want to bring him back too early, regardless of where you are in the playoffs. I think Roman Anthony's a clear-cut, easy slam dunk of a breakout this upcoming year. Potential dark horse MVP guy. Number 2, are we going Snake? Do I get a second? Do I go right back to it?
We can do Snake, but I will drink to that Roman Anthony take of yours, future MVP.
My second guy here, we're both super high on this guy. We've mentioned him on the podcast before when we did our AL Central preview. Jack Caglione. Last year, he played in 62 games. Average wasn't really there. 157 batting average, only 7 home runs, but a 532 OPS. Not terrible, but the OPS gives me some hope a little bit in the underlying metrics, right? but he only played in 60 games. It took him a long time to get up there, and then eventually the Royals kind of like sat everyone down when they were out of it. Uh, I love what his projections are, courtesy of Fangraphs and Steamer. They have him projected to be a 255, 319, 450 with 17 home runs and 56 RBIs over 100 games. So that's not 162, but over 100 games, that's what they're anticipating. I think the home run number is wrong. I think he has a chance to be a 30 guy this year. I don't think he's going to be a 30-30 guy, even though he kind of can steal bases. I do expect him to have like maybe 15 steals, depending on where, like how they want to use it. You know, I'm reading the thing here. I really think he can push up over 30 home runs. I think he's going to get plenty of plate appearances. He's going to mix in time in the outfield and at DH. Like, they're going to keep him well rested. The Royals, I anticipate, are going to take a massive step forward this year in the AL Central, you know, in my estimations, given what they are. And I think, like, he was really good in the World Baseball Classic. Like, I really like, and that's high level competition, regardless of how you feel about it, high pressure, the moments. And he hit really well. I like the way he played for Team Italy. Obviously, Team Italy was like a low key wagon, but my guy is Jack Caglione. We talked about the swing. I think for him, you know, I don't think MVP is in the realm this season, but don't be surprised if you look up in August and you're like, Jack Caglione has 30 plus home runs, batting 260. I take that as a huge win of his development if I'm the Royals.
I agree with you. I mean, Jack Paglione, plant product, so he's from Tampa, went played at Florida, so we've seen plenty of him. Didn't have his best season. He's another guy that kind of got unlucky with his hard hit balls. They just all were at somebody, unfortunately. And then the big swing and whiff was his problem. I think there's going to be a huge adjustment. I said, what was it, 2 episodes ago, that I don't see him regressing. I only see him getting better this year. And everyone on TikTok said, no shit. So, great minds think alike. I'm glad everyone understands Caglione is going to be him. I love that pick for you. I'm jealous that you took him away from me, but I'm going to snag a young prospect who hasn't even had a cup of coffee yet. Talking about Team Italy with their espresso machine. My next guy is about to have that cup of coffee. Ever shortstop coming out of Mississippi, the state of he's a high school kid. Now, coming out of high school, the biggest issue with him was that hit tool. The speed is there, always been there. Fielding has been there. It was the hit. They did a slight mechanic twist, I should say, a mechanic change to him that just let him get those fast hands going. He's got great speed with the bat, and now we're seeing him lift the ball up in the air. He's gone from like a 50 grade hit to a 60, and then a 60 power to a 65. The run has always been there. The arm has been there. The fielding's been the same. I mean, this guy is one of the best prospects in the game for a reason. And he's 6'3", 6'4", big body out there that has really good athleticism. I mean, there's nothing Ken Griffin can't do. We've seen him a little bit in spring training. Obviously, he took Ranger Suarez deep, and then I think he had a second one off of another reliever. Love the spring training, like, oh, he's going crazy in spring training, because oftentimes when you go crazy early on, pitchers are like, I just want to get a feel for my curveball, see if I can flip it in there for a strike. And you're just flipping it over the heart of the plate. Like, dude, I hope you can take me deep. I'm literally laying it in there. Like, I'm just trying to work on something. I'm not working on winning the game or getting you out. I'm focused on what I need to do, especially when you're at the level of them. So there is a little give and take when it comes to his numbers so far. The talent is undeniable. 6'3", 200 pounds, speed. You can't teach that. Like, this is a kid that could have, 30, 40 stolen bags, maybe 50 if he plays 162 and they rest him, and then have maybe 20 home runs. A 20-50 guy and Paul Skeens every day. I mean, we saw how Paul was looking at Bobby Witt. You got a little Connor Griffin right here that's going to be damn near the same thing. I think he probably won't make the roster to start. He should, but due to contract reasons and how it works out, I think they'll make him sit for about a month, month and a half. That way he clears whatever that window is, That way they get an extra year on his contract. So they'll do that kind of like what the Cubs did with Chris Bryant. Once he clears that window, he's getting that call up because I think they got Nick Gonzalez there, and I like Connor Griffin right now over Nick Gonzalez any day. And then going for the snake, we've been talking about hitters. Let's show some love for the guys on the bump. This is a guy that I've spoken with a couple of times in person. I really like his game. I'm sad that he got traded from Philadelphia to Minnesota. I'm talking about Mick Abel. Now, Mick Abel has some plus stuff. The fastball is electric, the velo is there. The issue with him has always been health and control. He tends to leave some stuff over the plate. The extension is grade A. Velo's there. The chase rate is good. The whiff is good. His stuff is electric. We just need to focus on control. Being in a ballpark like Philadelphia and now Minnesota, those are more hitter friendly, I would say. Those are bigger outfield, big ballparks. And Minnesota doesn't have the greatest defense behind it. Your best player is Byron Buxton. He's never out there. So you kind of lose that. You got second tier outfielders. More stuff's going to fall. But I think Mick's got the stuff that if we put it together and really focus and just put it together, like that's a dude that is a sleeper for any fantasy team. He's got a good fastball. He comes in with a curveball about 20% of the time. Good sinker to kind of run away from the lefties. He's got a slider to run away from righties. The changeup is there. And they're still working on the sweeper, still trying to get a feel for it. Unfortunately, with the sweeper, it just never lands it for strikes. So it's very easy to lay off. When that slider is there, it's usually right down the middle. So unfortunately, with the heat index, it's fastballs are up money. So if you see it high, you know it's a fastball. Go ahead and let that fly. There's always right down the middle. Sinkers have been painted on the edge. Curveballs are down. Changeups are a little bit more over out on the plate. But if we could get those heat indexes to be a little bit more on the outskirts, make Abel's got the stuff to get away with some stuff that are like right down the middle, the mistake pitch here and there. Unfortunately, whenever pitch is there, you ain't gonna get away with that. So I'm taking a chance. Mick Abel put it together. Last year had like a 6 ERA. I think a full season under his belt, a spring training where he's competing for the job, but it should be his. Like you got Taj Bradley, and I don't believe in Taj not one bit. I think Mick will go ahead and steal that spot. He's also a guy that can give you innings out of the bullpen. The kid just wants to play. I like Mick Abel's game a lot. I think he's going to be a breakout starter. I'm not saying he's going to be ace caliber, but man, if you have a chance in like the late stages of your fantasy draft to go ahead and snag him and kind of have that pitcher that's sitting on your bench that's a little stash, you'll thank me later.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think Mick Abel has the ability. He just never got the opportunity in Philly. It's just too congested of a bullpen and starters in there. He was never gonna like fully break through. So love the opportunity he'll get in Minnesota. For me, Hunter, I was in between two guys. All right. In between two guys. And one of the guys I was looking at, I'm like, I can't call him a breakout because I think he kind of already broke out a little bit. And I was looking at Nolan McLean, right? 8 games, he had a 5.1, 2.06 ERA. So instead, I wasn't comfortable doing that. So instead, I'm going with Paul Skeens' teammate, Bubba Chandler. 7 games.
Paul Skeens.
No, he already broke out.
I wonder when that guy's gonna break out. Ever heard of him?
I don't know if he's going to be a Cy Young guy, you know? Bubba Chandler, though, he has the ability to be a real, kind of Robin to Paul Skeens' Batman, kind of similar to what, really high quality teams end up doing. Kind of like how in LA they have Yamamoto and Glass now, right? You look around the league, you need to have a second guy. I think Pittsburgh has a guy here who has the ability to be really good. 7 games started, has a 4.1 record, 4.0 ERA, already 30-plus innings pitched with 31 strikeouts. So a strikeout an inning, basically. And I think he has the stuff to really be right there with, playing Skeens' like Robin. I think Pittsburgh's going to be a lot better this year that we've talked about. The batting is starting to improve, and they have these two guys on the bump with, I think, Mitch Keller, and that can really just add some in a three-man rotation. That's not terrible. Right now, the projection for a full first season is a 4.31 ERA and a 1.36 WHIP. I think the ERA is not going to be that high. I don't see it being in the fours. I really do see it being in the mid threes or low threes, honestly, just because it's Pittsburgh. He's gonna get hit. Is PNC Park a hitter's park, or is it a pitcher's? Yeah, so like it's a hitter's ballpark. I think he has great stuff. He's been really great, and that's a guy who I'm really targeting. He only had 7 games under his belt. Now he gets a full season. I'm really interested to see what that workload looks like for Bubba Chandler. Hunter, moving on here. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Florida Avenue of Hammered and Homers. We got to talk about some prospects. Prospects are littered all over baseball this year. The talent keeps getting better, right? So we're similar to what we did for 3 breakout guys. We got to do 3 prospects, right? We haven't told each other any of these, so we may have to think on the fly here. But I want to start first because I don't want you to take my guy, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mr. JJ Weatherholt. He's a guy to keep an eye on to break into the show, similar to Connor Griffin. The Cardinals aren't going to have him make the Major League Ball Club because they want the extra year of control. Especially when you're going to be a bad ball club, don't burn a year, right? Just trying to be something you're not. I'm super high on JJ. JJ was, I believe, the number 7 overall pick in the 2024 MLB draft. Feels right. Shot up the ranks in AA and AAA, and a lot of executives have him as kind of the proverbial favorite to win the NL Rookie of the Year. He put on an amazing minor league campaign of batting 306, 421, and 510 with 17 home runs, 28 doubles, 23 steals, and only 109 games. He drew 72 walks to 73 strikeouts, posting, according to my stats that I looked up, posting a 154 WRC plus, the 9th best in the minors among players with 400 plus plate appearances. This guy, he was the guy I wanted in the MLB draft when he came out. I mean, that was the same draft class with Bonanza and some other cats. I really love JJ's game. He's going to be a cornerstone infielder for us. I think depending on where we put him at, because Mason Wynn obviously the Gold Glove at short, so I would assume JJ's either at second, or they push him over to third, or they push Mason in the second and JJ in the shortstop. Either or, you have your middle infield set for the next couple years. JJ super disciplined at the plate, and the numbers back that up with the discipline aspect. And I just really think he has the ability to become like the franchise Cardinals guy. I think he's a guy we have to rebuild the franchise around. He's gonna be it. He has all the tools, all the ability, great glove, great bat. He's shown it kind of in spring training already with 4 home runs. And he's a guy I'm uber excited about when he gets called up. I'm probably going to buy a jersey. That's how much stock I believe in this guy. But yeah, JJ's, I think he'll make the show very similar to Connor Griffin after kind of that window where you get the extra year and then you can call him up. I think that's when he'll make his debut. I do not expect him to make the roster to start, hence why we signed Urias during spring training because we needed to fill that spot.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on JJ Weatherholt. I really like his game a lot. Oftentimes when we watch spring training early on, there's always, like for me, the Red Sox always play Northeastern. And my guy's a Northeastern product, and I remember sitting there watching the game in 2022, and I was like, damn, that kid can fly. Like, I like his game. And then we came back 2023, and the guy won like Conference Player of the Year, and he's just hitting Red Sox pitching, flying around the field, making diving plays. And I'm like, who is this kid? Is something else. Something like Mike Soroto. Mike Sirota ended up being a 16th round pick who was traded from the Dodgers and the Gavin Lux trade to go to the Reds. Went in the Reds system for a while, made his way back. This is the grandnephew of Hall of Famer Whitey Ford. And in his first year between the two Class A stops, he batted 333 with 13 homers in just 59 games. He's got like I think it's a 452 on base percentage, and then with slugging, it was like 616. Something insane for a 16th round overall that I'm sitting here watching this game, and I'm like, this kid can play. Like, I like his game a lot. To see him and follow him, and now he's broken the top 100 prospects. My dude, I was on him at Northwest, like that, or Northeastern. I'm like, that makes me feel good. I'm knowing something about this. This is a guy, like I said, can fly. Northeastern is more known to be super aggressive on the base paths. Pretty much lead the league every year, or lead the NCAA every year in stolen bases. I mean, they make you play baseball on every pitch. You're on your toes, constantly moving because they're going to drop down a bunt. They're going to do hit runs. They're going to put things in motion, suicides. Everything to make you be like you can play at your best at all times. And honestly, it's kind of the way that the Rays play. So this cat feels like a Rays player. You get him out in the outfield with Chandler Simpson, they're one's at the nine, one's at the one, just jacking shit up for major leaguers. I mean, this is a guy that has a 2020 potential. That's what he did at Northwestern, and that's extremely impressive to do. He is still very young. He is still an A ball. I'd like to see him make that jump to double A, and let's see where that hitting goes. That is the biggest jump from rookie ball to double A. I like his game so much. I think he will be just fine in double A, and I don't see him making the Dodgers roster anytime soon, especially with how they spend money. But definitely a guy that if I'm trading a piece away to the Dodgers in the offseason, he's a cat that I'm getting back. So Mike Soroka, I think he'll be in the big leagues in about 2, 3 years, depending on where he goes. He won't be there this year, but definitely someone to keep an eye on. And that'll be a deep, deep bag pull if you want to go ahead and steal that from me and use it with your friends. Now, if we're gonna stick with the snake draft, I'm gonna go with a kid that's also Tampa product. I love to show love to all the Tampa kids. I'm gonna go to Sickles High School. I watched him play quite a bit last year. I'm going with Jordan Yost. He was the 24th pick overall last year, and honestly, he's a skinny guy who just hits line drives, but the bat to ball skill is elite. Originally was committed to Florida, but when the bigs come calling, you answer the door. So doesn't go to college ball. He was looking all spring training for something about him. Where is he at? Is he on the backfields? What is he doing? Finally, he comes in, plays against the Yankees, and what does he do in his first at bat? Grand Salami. Welcome to the show, and he'll be a part of the spring breakout, which we'll talk about here later on. Jacob, who's the next prospect you got?
My next prospect here, he's a guy that he's probably going to make the roster from what I'm reading, but as of this moment in time, he's not on it. So I'm taking Colt Emerson of the Seattle Mariners. I believe he is a shortstop, but they're probably going to put him out third, move him around the infield to fill the needs wherever they need to, due to, I think, J.P. Crawford's early season injury. He's the Mariners' number one guy. He's gonna break in. He's gonna break onto the scene. He's an incredible, well-rounded offensive profile. Love the way he hit. 2025 in high A, double A, and triple A. He hit 285 across all three with 16 homers, 78 RBIs, 28 doubles, and even 6 triples in 130 games. Really efficient at the plate. Obviously, we got to see what he does with, MLB level stuff. But the Mariners are super high on him. I've read a lot of articles. Passon's high on him. A lot of guys are high on this guy, to break out, break onto the scene, have a serious, role in this Mariners offense that is already a potent offense. And if you can add a guy like that who can just continue to increase what the Mariners are already doing, he's gonna be a star. It's gonna be a star. I really like Colt Emerson to break out up there. And then my last pick here, staying on the snake, I got a guy from the Reds. He technically made the show last year, but he only played in like 18 games for this team. So I kind of took some liberties here. But it's Sal Stewart of the Cincinnati Reds. He played in 18 games last year. His line was 255, 293, and 545 with 8 RBIs and 11 runs. He's a guy, when you're looking at it, he's going to be, hopefully, for the Reds, their next big power bat. They thought they were going to get that with Spencer Steer. Didn't really come to fruition. They thought it was going to be CES. Didn't really come to fruition there. Matt McLain, you can kind of do whatever, but we know what he kind of is at this point. But Sal Stewart's coming on. He's got a great bat. He can hit for power. He can put the ball in play. He's going to be at first base, a desperate need for them. The Reds have a lot of young talent with some guys who have been in the league now for a little bit. It'd be really interesting to see if they can put it together. Obviously, the injury to Hunter Green will definitely change that, but he's a guy that I think is going to explode on the scene. He's going to have a serious reputation. He's going to be active with the ball. He's going to be active at the plate. I'm super impressed with that short window of pressure in September, having those stats. I'm really interested to see what he does across, probably 140 plus games for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the injury to Hunter Green kind of opens up the door for Rhett Lauder, who we touched upon a little bit in the TikTok video. That's not going to be my next prospect, although that is certainly a prospect I am excited to look out for. I'm trying to get deep in my bag. I don't want the obvious, that guy's making the team. What I'm looking for is who's going to be my spring breakout? Who's the guy to watch for? And for me, as a former employee for the Blue Jays, I feel some type of way. I always look at their farm system, see what they got. It was their 2021, and just watching those guys play, and I'm like, that guy can play. That guy know. That guy know. When I see this kid, JoJo Parker, number 2 prospect for the Blue Jays, number 45 overall, already cracking the top 100 list at 19. I mean, he's a premier player to watch in the Toronto pipeline. I mean, this kid can play. If you saw him from the MLB Draft Combine, I mean, you saw him hitting balls all over there. Him and his brother both there. I think his brother went to Detroit or Seattle. No, they're not on the same team for the first time in forever, but JoJo really impressed and showed why he's a first grade. I mean, he is, I think, 8th overall is where he went. The hit tool is there. Obviously, they go up to 80. His hit tool is at a 60, power 55. Run is 50, so the run is it's good run, but it's nothing electric. Not like what we were talking about with Connor Griffin. Arm is 55 and field is 50. He's been a reliable kind of fielder. Originally was a Mississippi State recruit, but like I said, when the bigs come knocking, you answer that door. Go ahead and get you a little $6.1 million in your pocket too while you're at it. So that certainly don't hurt or don't hurt. He has a powerful left-handed swing. I think this is a guy that can definitely lift the ball, and especially once he puts on some adult weight and that adult muscle, he's gonna be just driving line drives that are just gonna be everywhere. I mean, he's able to keep his attacks in such control, but they're so aggressive. Like it's something that it's a work of art, and if he stays line drive, dude, he's gonna be insane. But if he goes and tries to lift the ball and pop it up, he's gonna be in the minors for a while. Age 19, 6'2", already kind of filling out. I mean, above average arm strength would be a fit to move to third base later down the line. Kind of depends on how much he fills out, see if those ankles are still, nice and nimble or if they thicken out. But we'll see how it goes. But I mean, this kid's talent is insane, above the ceiling. I mean, if he puts on adult weight, sticks to line drives, that kid's gonna be in the big sooner than later.
One last guy I want to highlight. He's number 37 in the top 100 for the Cardinals is Reinel Rodriguez. Not who you thought I was going there with, but Reinel Rodriguez, still in single A. He's 19, similar to JoJo Parker, but in 84 games, batting .273, 19 home runs, 60 RBIs, 82 hits. The stat line looks really good. He's only 19. He's a catcher. The Cardinals have a plethora of catchers kind of in the pipeline, But I think for him, he's going to come up and probably become our everyday catcher eventually, because obviously the Pozo and Herrera project isn't going to really pan out the way we want it to. So I expect Ryan Rodriguez to make his way up. Probably not this season, but we're looking at next season for a potential call up for Rhino. But he's a guy that I'm super high on. And obviously, staying on the Cardinals, Liam Doyle is another pitching prospect who I'm super interested in. Let's turn our focus now, Hunter, to some fantasy baseball. You know us. Last year, Hunter and I went toe-to-toe in the championship. I am going to say this. Hunter did win, but he added 98 players in a span of 2 weeks. Let us know in the comments if that is a Bush League or, Jacob, you just got to get your acquisitions up. Let us know down below. Really interested to see what our people say there, Hunter. But without further ado, you're talking to two guys who have been competitive in their leagues. Guys, Hunter's won multiple leagues. I'm right there, up there with him in the same aspect. If this motherfucker would get out of my way. But without further ado, we're going to talk about, we're not going to do like numbers, but let's talk about guys we must have in our fantasy rosters and, guys who we're trying to avoid. So let's start with the must haves. We can alternate, no snake. Hunter, you want to kick us off with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start and I'll work my way through kind of how it goes. So, your first round, you really can't go wrong with anybody, but depending on how you go, should determine who you pick after them. So, for me, if I got like the fourth pick, I'm taking J Ram or Bobby Witt. Those are two guys that I really like. 162, I can depend on them. They're going to get me numbers. J Ram, 30-30 guy pretty much every year, plays 162, the most underrated player ever. You take him, you are going to be successful. If you were later on, say you were in that 6-7 boat, go ahead and take you the best pitcher on the block. Okay, somebody's gonna reach for Tarek Skubal, and if Bobby Witt slides down or Jose Rent, then take him. But if you're sitting there, Skubal, Crochet, can't go wrong with either one of them because they're both gonna pitch about 32 starts. I think Skubal is probably going to be the better of the two. Obviously, one's got the two-time Cy Young, whereas Crochet just finished his first full year. Crochet is more in a hitters-friendly ballpark and does tend to, if his team scores 5 runs, he's cool with giving up 3 or 4. He's one of those guys that kind of plays to his team, whereas Tarek Skubal is going to give you the money all day long. So if you're early on there, go ahead and get you your pitcher. If you're later, say in that sun range, no pun intended, go ahead and get you the best pitcher on the board. Jacob, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to stay in that first round, I'm really going after Bobby Witt. He's a guy, I could say this because you're not in front of me in the draft, unless you switch some shit up. But
They can be changed.
No.
You ain't trying if you ain't
Bobby.
cheating. You see this Red Sox hat? That means I'm a Pats fan too. All right, and you know
No,
how
let
the
me
Pats
bring
fan
Bobby
goes.
Witt home. He's a Missouri. Bobby Witt needs to come home to Wanderers daycare.
He's an Oklahoma boy. You can't claim him in the show me safe. That boy is Boomer Sooner
He plays
all
for the
day.
Royals. He's Missouri boy, honorary. But Bobby Witt, I think a lot of people are going to be really targeting him. Obviously, he kind of had his coming out party in the WBC. A guy that I really like in maybe this round 3, maybe on the turn of round 4, depending on where you're at. I am in love with Bryan Woo. I think this guy is going to become the bona fide ace for the Mariners. I think Logan Gilbert still is kind of up there. But Bryan Woo just has quality start after quality start. I think last season at some point he had a massive stretch of games of just 20-plus points, which is something you love to see out of your pitchers. Last season he was an all-star. He had a 2.94 ERA. He had over nearly 200 strikeouts. He was too short. He had 198 strikeouts. Like, the numbers are all there for you. He had 185 plus innings. It was in over 30 games, 15-7. Like, the point, like, everything is there for what you're looking for from him. And from a fantasy perspective, he's a guy that I am targeting in every draft. every single draft I want to go home with Brian Wu. And he doesn't have to be your ace. I don't think, woo! But I think you don't need him to be your ace. I think obviously you want to get a premier guy like Crochet, Scooble, Freed, Christopher Sanchez, Yamamoto. And then if you can get Brian Wu as your two, just amazing. He has a 5% career walk rate. He does not give up walks. He only strikes dudes out. He's a sleeper. I think he has a chance. I think he finished as a top 10 guy last year. He has a chance to be a top 5 guy this year. He's so consistent. And at the price point you get him, it's almost a steal at that point. Round 3 and 4 for a guy who's going to strikes dudes out, doesn't give up walks, gets you 20 plus points in fantasy. That's consistency that is only rivaled up by some of your top aces, and you're going to get him at a little bit of a cheaper price point than you're going to have to pay for like Scooble and Skeens, and you are going to get almost the same level of production from Wu. So I'm super high on Brian Wu. The Cal Poly Demon is my number one guy I have to go home with every single draft.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to go home with Brian Wu? ESPN has him as the 20th best player in baseball in that draft, and ahead of him is Aroldis Chapman. And if you're taking a reliever in the second round, you're somebody I want in my fantasy league because you're a sucker. You're kind of the same person that tells me Julio Rodriguez is going to be elite every year. I think if you also, another stay away is Cal Raleigh. Don't be that guy that takes him in the first round and then expecting 60 home runs. It's not going to happen. He's not going to hit 60 again. I'll put my life savings on it. I'd let somebody else make the mistake of taking a catcher in the first round. That's how I feel about that second round. I mean, if you want consistency, Perdomo, Schwarber, Skeens. Schwarber's going to go ahead and yeah, you can. I mean, you can't go wrong there. I think Ellie De La Cruz. If you're in a league that I've been in a couple of leagues that like just zero out strikeouts. Like if your guy strikes out, he's zero. Ellie's totally worth it. If you have strikeouts in there, that's where I get worried because he has a huge gaping hole. And then another stay away from at 23 is Trevor Story. Trevor Story can barely make it through 150 games in a season. He's consistently hurt as he's getting older. That back is not getting better. He also will lay out for balls, overextend, pop out his shoulder. He's been known to do that a time or two. At 23, the price is way too high for Trevor Story. Maybe last year when he was in the 60s, I loved that for him. That's good product. I can see him being a 2020 guy, especially because he wants to play 162 games. But the way he plays and the way his body is aging, stay far away from. Like I can't star it enough. Put a huge X. Byron Buxton's the same way. If you're in this 20 something range, go ahead and get you Christopher Sanchez and Yamamoto. Like Jacob was telling you, this is where you go and pull trig on one of those guys. And then whenever you turn around in that 30 range, Junior's the guy that I want to hate on. Like I want to be like he hit 45 homers because he was in a minor league ballpark, and the home and away splits are scary. The home splits were significantly better. Minor league ballpark where the wind flies out, no shit, he's gonna hit a bunch of home runs. But then I see him in the DR, and I see him pumping and just being a dude. Question if that energy is going to come like it's almost like a drug where you're so high, you've got to come down. Does he come down during the season? That's what I'm worried about. I think I'd rather, at this point, watch other people reach and what falls to at this point. Just go ahead and take what's best. Christopher Sanchez, a Yamamoto's good. I like a Hunter Brown. If you feel the need to get one of the best second basemen in the game, go ahead and get you a Bryce Terang. And I think you would be successful in that aspect. Do not be the guy that goes and gets a Cade Smith and Edwin Diaz and Emmanuel Uribe, Robert Suarez. Oh, what are we doing getting relievers in the third round? That's not a guy that pitches and gets you all these points every day. It's not a guy that plays every day. He's gonna come in for about what 60 saves, if that. And when he blows you a save, you're gonna hate life because you're gonna look at it and see minus 15 right there. It's low risk. I'm sorry. It is low reward for higher risk when it comes to relievers. Me personally, I like to stack my team full of starters. and stay away from relievers as much as possible. But Jacob, in this 30 range, in this third, fourth round kind of feel, who do you like the most?
For me, I'm looking in this 30 range. Obviously, we touched about Brian Wood. It's kind of the range he's going at. Um, in a little bit in that range. But for me, I think your best value, if you're looking for a shortstop, Perdomo last season was incredibly productive. I think he barely had any negative games. He had a lot of games where he was over 2+ points a night. And if you're getting 2+ points out of your shortstop, that's great. Obviously, you don't want super. You obviously want all the investment of like Gunnar Henderson and Bobby Witt. But if you're like you miss out on those guys, Perdomo filling in at your shortstop is a great spot there. But the guy I have written down that I am like I want to go home with every single draft is Jackson Chourio of the Brewers. I think he has the ability. We talk about breakout stars. This guy has the ability to be a legit like 25, 25, 30, 30 guy in this season. Last season he had 20 home runs, he had 20 stolen bases, he hasn't even hit his 22nd birthday yet. I love his value. His projected stat line via Razball is 109 runs, 28 home runs, 91 ribbies, 277 average, and roughly about 25 plus stolen bases. Like that is, and you're getting that to maybe be your top outfielder, your second outfielder, depending on how you want to play, what you're doing, and what you're valuing. I think Jackson Chourio just brings so much value in that range in a pivotal round. And I do agree with relievers. I'm a guy that wants a reliever, but I wait until later to get a reliever just because I want the guy I can always kind of just leave him in the lineup. I want the passive, kind of like the passive points almost. But I'm not going to go spend a fifth round pick on Mason Miller or Edwin Diaz. Even though I love Mason Miller, I think if you are going to spend the pick, that's a guy you can do it for. But like you're still leaving the likes of like Freddie Peralta on the board, DeGrom, Nick Kurtz, Cole Reagans. These guys over the course of the year are going to bring you more points than a Mason Miller. So like I personally think relievers are incredibly overvalued given the consistency of what you're going to get of like Lazardo and Valdez, and like we can name the starters that bring it. But to answer your question, Hunter, in that 30 range is Jackson Chourio for me. Kind of, you can get him in that round 4, maybe late round 3, depending on where you are in the snake.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of his game, and I said last year stay away from it because he's gonna regress. He did regress, but I think this year is where he comes with a counter punch and will solidify his stardom. And his regression wasn't horrific. It wasn't anything terrible. He still had a really good year. And I think he's gonna be a better this year. When you're in that like 40 range, maybe you might be able to get somebody who maybe passed up on a Pete Alonso or a Jacob DeGrom or a Nick Pivetta. If they're still there, you snag them. Pavetta gets you tons of strikeouts and eats up innings. DeGrom is the same way. Pete Alonso being in Baltimore now, being protected in that lineup. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're bringing the wall back in. So now you got a short porch over in left field. Pete's a big pole ball
In
hitter, but he is the most explosive when he uses the whole field. Let's face it, Baltimore got a pretty ballpark. Camden Yards, you can spray it around there, use
beautiful,
that wall out in
beautiful.
right field. I mean, it is, but say they don't go there, or I'm sorry, say everyone's smart like us and we already took them cats and they didn't make it to you when you're sitting at 40, 45. At that point, go ahead and get you a Nathan Evaldi. You can go away,
Love,
you can get a Manny
love.
Machado if you don't have a third baseman, because he is going to be there every year. A Cody Bellinger. He plays 81 games in a Mickey Mouse ballpark. He's got a swing that's made for it, a natural upswing. Balls flying, Yankee Stadium. Go ahead and get you a Cody Bellinger at this point. And if you still need that shortstop, which you probably do, 48 on ESPN is Gunnar Henderson. Now he regressed last year, but if your worst season is a 5-something WAR, yeah, I think you're gonna be all right, kid. Go ahead and get you.
He also was injured, so like that also he started the year a little banged up.
It's true. Yeah, he came out of the gate slow, but I like it there. And if you have patience and want to stash, stash Zach Wheeler.
Yeah. I love the Pete Alonso thing. He's a guy that I do target earlier than most people just because I don't want him to get poached somewhere else. And I think first base is deeper than it is, but don't think, oh, Bryce Harper's still on the board. I can really wait. Bryce Harper is not going to give you that same level of production that Pete Alonso is. Bryce Harper's numbers, as we said on the show, are declining every single year. It's slow, but it's a steady decline. Here's a guy, Hunter. He's roughly ranked 74th right now, according to Bleacher Report. And the reason why I love this prospect, and I hate giving this one to you, because catcher is a very thin position at times. Like, because if you don't get maybe the top 4 premier people in your league, like we're talking Shea Langoliers, Drake Baldwin, Cal Raleigh, and William Contreras, Ben Rice is a guy who has first base and catcher eligibility. So if you want to hit the stack of Pete Alonso and Ben Rice, I've done that in a couple mocks, and I've loved the way that turns out. Like, don't be afraid to maybe do that. Like, the eligibility is there for a reason. That's similar to why I target a guy like Alec Burleson in the later part of drafts, because he has an outfield, a first base, and a DH designation. So if you need a spot start in the outfield, put Burley in. If you need a spot start at first base, you can put in Burley. And if you want to hit the major stack of Ben Rice and Pete Alonso, or Ben Rice and Matt Olson, like, that's an incredible stack. And I love Ben Rice simply because he has the dual eligibility, because like I don't want to be forced into catcher. I don't think there's going to be a catcher that like is going to have Cal Raleigh level like impact for me like he did last year. I think Drake Baldwin has a chance to be somewhat productive. But if I can get a first baseman, it's like Taysom Hill. If I can put in a running back at the tight end spot, I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can put in a quarterback at the tight end spot, I'm going to do it and get quarterback points at a less than premier position. I think that's what you can get with Ben Rice with the first base catcher eligibility. First base is deep. Stack it. Put Ben Rice at catcher. I think can be it could be the new meta, as the kids are saying, for this upcoming fantasy season.
Yeah, we had people arguing on our TikTok on why we didn't have Ben Rice as like a top 10. I don't remember if it was first baseman or catcher that people were upset about. And I'm like, dude, he only played like 50 games at first. And he played 30
Yeah.
games at catcher. Like he's not a full-time starter anyway, but he plays everywhere. So yes, he is a dude, and he's somebody I had last year on just like a waiver pickup that I was just like, yeah, this guy's hot, and then he never cooled off. And so, but I think if you're sitting in the 50 range based off ESPN, it's going to be a reach for Ben Rice based off of who's
I
there.
do I do
So
agree.
you got to really have faith in Ben Rice. Now, 81 games in Yankee Stadium. I mean, he's going to find a way to play every day. They keep him fresh. Obviously, catching takes a toll on your body, but playing first base ain't no tool. And then when you're playing DH, hitting the ball all day long, that's going to keep your legs fresh. It's a guy that can put up a couple of stolen bases in sneaky situations. He has a good all-around game, and I see him progressing more and more. So I do like his game a lot, but you got to love it, and your team's got to be built a certain way in order to go ahead and snap him and stash it
Yeah.
at this 50 range. Miguel Garcia, we just saw what he did for Team
Well,
Venezuela. I mean, it is an absolute, just a gem of a value. They only have him at third base on this. You could also get Jazz Chisholm. That's a big swing
well,
and miss guy. I don't love that pick. And then we have Kyle Tucker, Vladimir Guerrero, Nick Kurtz, and Acuna, or I'm sorry, and Randy Arozarena. I would like one of those guys. And if you feel the need to reach for Freddie Freeman, it's not too far of a stretch. It's he's sitting there at 59 on ESPN. I'm totally cool with that.
looking at this ESPN mock draft that they did for Points League, they have Ben Rice going in round 6. I think that's a little steep, given you could still get a guy like Kirby, Langford, Jackson Merrill, Joe Ryan. I think you can get some better value. But say you hit, like, in the next round, say you hit the no man's land almost a little bit here of Freddie Freeman and Henio Suarez. You don't really know what you want with Devers, and like you're kind of not sure about Zach Wheeler, and you're not ready to take a reliever yet. Go ahead and take Ben Rice. And maybe if you're in the later part of that round 7, I think that's an easy risk that you can take given where that is in that round specifically, according to the ESPN mock draft. I just want to rattle off my list here. I'm not going to go super in depth, but another list of guys that I have on the must-have list is Roman Anthony. I want to go home with this guy every chance I can get. I want him on my team. I want Nathan Eovaldi, and he is older, but consistency. 15 plus points an outing, 17 plus points an outing, especially earlier in the year. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be a stud for you, but if you're like, you just want consistency when it comes to fantasy sports, this guy's going to bring it to you. He's going to give you 15 an outing, 18, and every now and then you're going to get a nice 25 outing. You're going to be like, oh, this is really nice. And the price you're going to pay is not as steep as what you're thinking it's probably going to be for Eovaldi. He plays in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark over in Texas and Dallas. A guy to keep an eye on for me is Trevor Rogers. He's going in the later part of drafts, but he was incredible for me in the last part of last year. He's a guy that if you keep an eye on, know your league as well. I think that's a really big part of fantasy is you got to know your league. If you know you can let Trevor Rogers sit for a bit and keep drafting some depth, wait on him, but he's a guy that he could do what he did last year and give you 20 plus points, every second or third outing. And then Griffin Jax, to me, just a consistent closer. I'm not putting him in, I'll be strategic if I put him in. I can get him super late just to get my one closer guy in. He's going to play back in the Trop, not a hitter-friendly ballpark. So that's one. In my last, make sure I didn't miss anyone. In my last one, Nolan McLean. I want this guy on my team. He had a 2.01 ERA last year. He has not a ton of innings on him, but there's a reason why he was on Team USA. I think he's going to be he's going to be better than a lot of the other young wide receivers, and you can get him later. Like, I'm looking here, you can get Nolan McLean at round 14, and I think he's going to be better than Mizorowski. He's going to be better than Mackenzie Gore. Like, if you're looking for that late round pitcher, Nolan McLean at his current value is an absolute steal. Absolute steal for me. And now this asshole is going to pick him a round before me.
No, you said wide receiver, and I was like, what?
No. Did I say wide receiver?
You said wide receiver, and I was like, what? Did you just...
No, starting pitcher.
You came back around to it and said it, but I was like, what?
But that's my list. And my last guy, I forgot about this guy, Luke Keeschel, second base, won him
Somebody
late.
that you're very high on.
Very high on Keeschel. If he does what he's going to do, I'll buy a jersey. That's how confident I am. Guys I'm avoiding, I said Cal Raleigh. He's not going to hit 60 home runs. If you get 40 to 45 home runs, I guess you can maybe justify the price, but...
I would love that, but not for first round.
But, he's got to be a late second, early third maybe selection. But I think there's still so much better value than catcher in those early rounds to fill out your roster, especially with the elite guys in the outfield. Those are not dudes I'm willing to take just yet. Not super high on Corbin Carroll. Not high on him. He had a slow start last year. He's still being drafted up in the second round as the fifth outfielder. I just don't see it. I get that he steals bags, but he doesn't hit very well, especially not for power, which has never been a part of his game. But I didn't love the averages. I didn't love what I saw in the better part of last season. Maybe this will be an egg on my face, but I'm not super high on Corbin Carroll. I'm also not super high on a guy like Brent Rooker as well. I think Brent Rooker gives you value, but he's only a DH, I think, is what he's listed as. Just the only DH I'm truly comfortable taking is Schwarber or Jordan. if Jordan can stay healthy for a full year. But I mean, playing in the ballpark that they play in Sacramento definitely has its perks. Stop me at any time, Hunter, but I also have Austin Riley. I just don't see it with Austin Riley. If you need to get him late, get him late. Springer, simply because of his age. I have Sonny Gray. He's going to be the third guy in that rotation, but Fenway, I think he can pitch his way into Fenway, but I think you're looking at a guy with a 4+ ERA. He's going to give up tanks. The consistency is not going to be what you want for Sonny Gray. There's that. Corey Seager's the same. There's a lot of big names, and you're going to be like, this guy was super. Like, what happened? There's a reason why they're going late in rounds. Corey Seager, always injured. Takes too long to get the power going. I'm not on him, and obviously Mike Trout's probably the biggest name, because if you're a casual, you're like, Mike Trout in the 7th round? How can I get this value? There's a reason why. If you get a great value for Mike Trout, add it. But don't reach for Mike Trout. It's pretty much kind of, and I'm not going to draft him, but unless the value's too good. Thoughts?
I'm with you on a lot of them. I agree with injury concerns. When you draft somebody, you want somebody to be there for 162. That's what you hope for. The expectation's about 150 games for a position player. Your starters about 30 starts. So anytime you see a guy who's consistently declining and just not hitting that threshold, go ahead and let somebody else, let him fill up somebody else's IL spot. That's kind of where I feel. I think there's great value late in rounds. And I say that being like a Drew Rasmussen coming in at 105 on ESPN's list. I think there's great, tremendous value in that. A Seiya Suzuki, a Jesus Luzardo at 113, 114. That is outstanding value. Seiya Suzuki is a 30-30 guy. Jesus Rosario is going to get you 6-7 innings every time, no pun intended. But he's going to go ahead and fill that up. He's pumping in about, what, 97, 98. He's going to get you some punchies as
He
well.
got signed to a big contract too, so there's
There's
some
faith in
real,
him.
yeah.
I
He's
think
put it
Jacob
together.
Yeah, I think Jacob Wilson, the tool was there. He added the power. Sacramento's a ballpark that he's very comfortable in, and he can hit. I think he declined later in the year because that was his first big season. That's his first long 162. I expect him to kind of fade off towards the end. Now, this year being his sophomore year, I get concerned about the sophomore slump. However, he doesn't have that big hole in his game where he's that big swing and miss guy. I don't see the huge sophomore slump coming. There might be a slight regression, but at 120, the value's there. If you don't have a second baseman at this point, my personal favorite is Brandon Lau. That is a high risk, high reward guy. Either he's going to be out for the whole year or he will put up 40 home runs. Be careful with that. That will burn you, but it's also second base. So the value of second base and going for a cat like that, I like that a lot, as opposed to I'm gonna go ahead and in my first 5 rounds, let me go get a Mike Trout, somebody who, it's either a Brandon Lau or a Hunter Gaddis, a Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward is very solid, and I'm cool with that, but he doesn't have the ceiling of a Brandon. Chris Sale being here at 126, I love that value tremendously. Luis Rise, if you want a guy that's going to go ahead and get you a hit a game, get you a couple of points, no strikeouts, no negative points. I like that too. That's a guy that fills in. Go ahead and add 1 or 2 points every day in your lineup. Call it a day. Willie Adames in that big ballpark. I like Nick Lodolo. Big breakout last year. I'd like to see him do it again this year. Hunter Green, obviously going to be out for 2 months. Don't love that. I think Ranger Suarez being in Fenway, him being a ground ball pitcher, he should be fine. Somebody like Sonny Gray, like you touched upon, is it's more of a fly ball pitcher, if I'm not mistaken. Fenway can hold fly balls, especially if you hit them in the center with that big triangle. And right field is very unique, and you've got two Gold Glovers out there. I think that if it's going to stay in the park, it's going to get caught unless it comes off the wall. So I'm not hating on that. Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray in the 150 range, great value. Logan Gilbert at 161, I love. I love these late pitchers. I like anyone like a Jake Mangum. I like somebody like a Chandler Simpson, somebody that's going to go ahead and get me about 30 stolen bases. That's free points for me. because anytime they walk or get on base, that's already 1 point, and then they're going to go ahead and steal second and give me 2 points. And then the base hit, boom, that's 3 points because they just came in and scored for me. Those are guys that I really like to have and rotate in the lineup. Yeah, everyone loves the home run, but ain't nothing sexier than the grimy, gritty kid that's getting me 3 points every game. Stay away from Spencer Torkelson. He hasn't put it together since. Like, he's just never put it together. Let's stop pretending like he will. Go ahead and give up on that dream. Let it be somebody else's. Xander Bogaerts, I like that they're moving him to leadoff. However, if you want that, get it off waivers. You don't have to necessarily reach for that when there's value for a Jonathan Aranda at 187 or a Luis Garcia Jr. And absolutely under no circumstances will we be drafting Emmanuel Clase. I don't know why ESPN has him at 194 ahead of Luis Roberts, but I'm willing to. This might be a hot take. Hey, chat, clip this right here. TikTok. Luis Roberts Jr. will put up more points than Emmanuel Clase this year. Mark it, put it on the whiteboard if you need me. That's gonna be the hot take of the
Hard
night.
hitting stuff.
That's gonna be that's gonna be it. I don't know why he's on I don't know why he's on that list, but he is, and that's gonna be it. Let's end it on the hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of these ESPN teams, and one of them is Tristan Krakoff. He has Agustin Ramirez, Ben Rice, Pete Alonso. He's putting Ben Rice at catcher. Kazuma Okamoto, Ozzy Albies, Gunnar Henderson, Judge Churio, Taylor Ward, Schwarber. His pitching staff is Kirby, Woodruff, McLean, Boyd, Robbie Ray, Shane Baz, Edwin Diaz, Johan Duran, and Emilio Pagan. That's a team, if you want to build Ben Rice, that's kind of the way to do it there. I agree with a lot of what you said. Chase, the name of the game is points, right? Regardless of how I felt about last season and the 98 transactions, the name of the game is points. Find the consistency, especially in 162 games. There's going to be lulls, and I will say this. There's going to be times where you're going to take a guy off of, your late round flyer, and you're like, man, do I hold on to him? Do I wait? Give it a little bit more leeway than you think early in the year. But when you hit June and July and you're starting to see trends, don't be afraid to go be the guy that gets ahead on getting certain guys. For me last year, I was not afraid to go be aggressive and pick up Jacob Mizorowski, right? But also, I wasn't afraid to drop Mizorowski when he started to tail off towards the end of last season. Because the name of the game is points. Mizorowski, for the first, 5 games that made him an all-star? 25-plus point. Huh? He had 2 games?
An all-star after 2 starts.
2 starts, 25-plus points. Stupidest thing you've ever seen. But that's the concept of when you're like, fantasy baseball is not fantasy football. Where fantasy football, you're not trying to, you want to win waivers, but you're not, like, if you have to rely on a ton of waivers in fantasy football, you're not going to do great. Versus in fantasy baseball, you're going to find hidden gems that are better than the guys that you draft. So I think obviously there's a lot of things there to dissect and take away from, but we gave you a really good list, especially of guys to avoid, especially guys to go and maybe be a little bit more aggressive with. Or if you're in late rounds, and you're in between people, go get the Evaldi, go get the Griffin Jacks, go get Keishel there. So Hunter and I are in several leagues together. The one that matters the most, though, is we're in this family league where it's 8 teams, typical format, your typical 9 plus a utility. Or typical 8 plus a utility, and then you're 7 pitchers, right? Plus 5 bench. So typical scoring there. Except I think I asked this year to add more value to doubles if that's a possibility. Hunter, let's go ahead. You got the quick 9.
Yep.
I'm ready. Quick 9 presented by Florida Avenue Brewing.
Yep. Quick 9. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, more of a taco.
Taco. I'm with you on that. I do believe it is a taco.
Hold on. You remember when we had freaking what was her name?
Jazz Severs, the Oregon softball player.
The viral Oregon softball player, and freaking Drew goes, "Is hot dog a sandwich?" Ask probably the hottest chick he's ever seen in his life. because at the time she was the hottest chick I've ever seen, and that was what we asked. But we
Yeah. Now she's a mom, which is sick.
I think she has 2 kids now
She like
too.
transferred to UCF because they were more willing
Willing.
to be with her and the kids, and I'm like, dude, that's sick. Shout out UCF for that. That's amazing. Going back to sandwiches, which is I hope that transition doesn't get taken the wrong way. If you're making an ultimate sandwich, what's on it?
Ooh, an ultimate sandwich.
And I don't mean like the ultimate sandwich you would order. I mean like your personal sandwich. Like if I'm making a Mac Daddy sandwich of all my favorites, what's that look like?
We're making it at home. I mean, for me, I would go like keep it simple. Number 13, Mike's Way, on white, add mayo, bacon. But if I'm making it at home with what I got, man, I'll probably go. What I used to eat a ton as a kid, I would go roast beef on some white bread. I would do like Swiss when I could still have cheese. I do Swiss and then hit it with some A7 like steakhouse, A7 like
Hmm.
no, not A7. It was 57 Heinz like steakhouse sauce on some roast beef. Toast it, get the nice crisp cheese melt. That was an elite sandwich. If you're like, and that was elite. But if I had to make the ultimate sandwich, man, probably go turkey, crisped up,
Turkey. Turkey's that might
underrated.
be
It's underrated.
underrated. Bro,
No,
at
listen,
Thanksgiving, people consider removing turkey from as like
no, bro.
least desired thing in the day.
Listen,
Like people would rather have yams. We're out of all
honestly,
the
man,
sandwich
it's such a tough question because like what for me, what's an ultimate sandwich, man? I don't know.
like the Mac Daddy sandwich, you're getting that every single time.
Every single time that I'm making it at home or just anywhere.
Anywhere. Like you have every ingredient.
Every time, number 13, Mike's Way with mayo on white. Every time. Hits, Mike does it well. There's no safe word with Mike.
No safe word with Mike.
He does me well. 13. Del Rio at Angie Subs is a close second though.
That is so
With the
good.
Del Rio sauce.
Yo, that and the Samoan. It's a hidden
Yeah.
menu thing. I was thinking about that the other day when we went to Jack's. I was like, oh, do we go to Angie Subs or Taco Lou? I was like, Taco Lou's the sit down spot. We'll go do that. But Angie Subs, the Samoan secret menu with extra fry sauce.
Yeah. 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 That and I think that would be a close second and a close third. Alessandro's cheesesteak.
Yeah, D'Alessandro's is gas. Publix pub sub doesn't make your top three. A chicken
No,
tender
because it's not consistent. It's not consistent. Because it depends on how the guy at the counter cuts up your chicken. It depends on if you get enough sauce. Does he overload you with onions? Does he overload your sauce? Nah, man. I used to have a gas pub sub recipe, though. It was chicken tender sub, ranch, lettuce, onions, smoked Gouda cheese. That was the move with bacon.
just ranch?
Ranch.
Right. Let me teach you how to be great. A little spicy white. You're gonna be an aioli when I'm done with this.
Brother, you
So
don't even know what's in aioli.
an aioli is spicy white, spicy mayo.
No,
It's a mayo
it's
base, but yes, sriracha aioli is a spicy white. It's a joke. But pub sub, white bread. White bread is the best bread there. What you do with the chicken tenders is you have to chop it up and you toss it in a bag with ranch and buffalo. That way you get the sweetness and that flavor of the buffalo, but that ranch cools that heat, so you're getting straight flavor town. Then what you want to do, go ahead and put some pepper jack cheese on there so you get more heat. Get you some bacon. Go ahead and put that in the oven. Once you come out, put some lettuce on there. That thing is good to go right there. But the next question. Name what you consider to be the greatest Broadway show.
greatest Broadway show. Oh my God, Miami of Ohio is just lighting it up. This
Hey,
place is going to
hey,
explode.
hey.
It's basically a home game for Miami of Ohio.
Where's it
Speaking of
at?
exciting whites, this guy hits a 3 and literally is pounding his chest.
as he
Place is
should.
going bananas. This is March. Best Broadway show. I've only ever seen one, technically, like a theater show, and it was Beauty and the Beast when I was like 12. I think numbers wise, technically, I think Hamilton's up there, but for me, we did a Wicked themed basketball game at Baylor, so we're going to go with Wicked as the best Broadway.
Most people would say Wicked even before all of the movies. I think that's such a iconic one that like you can't go wrong with that. Cats creeps me out. I don't love that one. I don't think I would want to see it. Um, but I think Wicked is it's up there. Romeo and Juliet, if you wanted to be a basic. Um, what would you consider to be Adam Sandler's greatest film?
Greatest? I mean, his work in Uncut Gems was amazing. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
I have.
That's probably his best like non-comedic work. But his best comedic work, Waterboy is just up there, man. Waterboy Waterboy is pretty good. Billy Madison was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Grown Ups. I'll
You got
probably go Waterboy.
you got Happy Gilmore in there as well. You've got my honestly my personal favorite is Big Daddy.
Actually, I'm gonna change that answer. I loved 50 First Dates with him and Drew Barrymore.
That's another one that's really good.
That one I really loved. That one I love. So I'm gonna change that and go 50 First.
So we just saw the WBC. William Abreu hits the home run, and he's obviously a back-to-back Gold Glove winner. That got me thinking, how many times in a row can you win the same award before you start to feel bad for everyone else?
I don't think you ever get. I don't think there's a number that gets you feeling bad.
There's not
Like
like
legit, like
I win.
legitimately feeling bad, or when you say the comment like, "Dang, I feel bad for all these other guys who think they have a chance."
I mean, either or, that's still that feeling of like, damn, like these guys probably feel awful. Like they could, if they won this award, like they would get millions of more dollars. And I have this award 7 times. It
Probably
doesn't add any
five
more
over.
value.
I think over five, you're kind of like, especially if you win some and you're like, "Oh, I don't know if I deserve to win all these," but yeah, I probably say over five is probably when you start to get the thought in your head.
I feel like that's why Shohei left the Angels and went to the Dodgers was because he felt bad for Judge for literally winning the MVP every year. Speaking of baseball, what do you believe is the hardest position to play?
Shortstop. It's the one where like it's such a premier position for defensively for a reason. I think a close second is center field just because of how much ground you have to cover. But I would say shortstop.
I would also go shortstop. It's the longest throw in the infield. You cover the most ground. Most people are right-handed, so they're gonna pull it right at you to where you have to make moves. You're also the captain of the infield. So there's a lot of calls you have to make, positions to get right, and you're most likely to get the ball. Close second is going to be catcher just because you're in a squat the whole time. You've got to run the whole pitching staff as well as be an absolute wall back there, throw out runners, communicate signs with everyone. And you just get beat up back there. Who is the greatest Marlin in franchise history? Tying in my sleeper pick, my in my bag, Josh Johnson ties to the Marlin. Figured we need to bring this up.
Like the greatest player.
Who had like the greatest career in a Marlins uniform? Like who is the greatest Marlin ever? And it could be Mr. Marlin, Conine.
Marlins, man. Trying to think here, man. I mean, guy that came to my head is Dontrell Willis.
That's my answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dontrell Willis. I think
The hat sideways, the leg kick, just giving it to you. That's a dude that I could watch all day long. And when I think of Marlins, I think of him. So I'm right there with you on that one. Little trivia question. Far is the pitching rubber from home plate?
60 feet, 0.6 inches, right?
Yeah, that's correct. 6 feet, 60 feet, 6 inches. Evan said 60 feet, and I was like, no. He was like, yes, it is. And I was like, no. Here,
No, that
you're
it's 60. Yeah,
60 feet,
60
6 inches.
feet,
You're
six
right.
inches. Yep.
All right. Max Fried had two famous teammates in high school. Who were they?
Max
They
Free.
They both play baseball. It's not like an actor or some shit like that. They are both active big leaguers. One is on a
Is
team, one is a free agent.
is one of them Flaherty?
It is. Jack
Okay.
Flaherty is one of them with Max Fried.
Pitcher? All pitchers?
The other one is a pitcher. All three are pitchers.
I don't know the second guy, but it's Jack Flaherty. Is
And
one of them.
Lucas Giolito.
Yeah. The minute you
I've got three more for us. I'm gonna go in the same trend of Nolan Arenado played high school baseball with what MLB player? They are both third basemen.
played high school ball, current third baseman.
They've both played third base their whole career. Nolan was 2 years older.
My initial thought is Austin Riley.
It's not Austin Riley.
Is it Chapman?
It is Matt Chapman.
That's who I was between, was Chapman and Austin Riley.
We've got two more, and both involve the same team. Who is the oldest franchise
In baseball?
in baseball?
It's the Cincinnati Reds.
It is not.
Yes, it is.
It's not. Not where I pulled this up at. My answer could be wrong. You got me second guessing it now. You said that so confidently.
What I looked up, going to Baseball Reference. Okay. So what I looked up, it's technically the Cubs and the Braves in 1876, but technically the Reds were founded in 1866, and then they disbanded, and then they started the current iteration of the Reds several years later.
That's weird because when I looked it up, my answer came up. The Atlanta Braves is the oldest team. It's the oldest MLB team still operating, as the Atlanta Braves originally founded as the Boston Red Stockings. In 1871, they are recognized as the oldest continuous operating professional sports
Yeah.
franchise in North America.
Yeah. That's where they get it, is the continuous part. But I think technically the Reds are the first like franchise in baseball. That's why I was very confident on it.
Well, they quit, so we don't award that to
Yeah,
quitters.
they disbanded and then
Undefeated. But speaking of the Braves, future Hall of Famer Chris Sale will wear what hat in Cooperstown? Will it be a White Sox hat, a Red Sox, or a Braves hat?
I think it'll be a Red Sox, honestly. I think when you think Chris Sale, I think you think of him as a Red Sox. I think most people don't even know he was a White Sox. So
I feel like it's such a fun question because he had like three fantastic careers. Like with the White Sox coming up, I think he won a Cy Young as a White Sox. Comes over to the Red Sox, dominant in the first couple of years, wins a World Series, and then leaves on such a sour note to where he goes to the Braves for a resurgence and wins a Cy Young with them. I think he's had an amazing career of ups and downs, but I think nothing tops the World Series. So I do think, and I hope Chris Sale wears a Red Sox hat in Cooperstown. But that is literally all the rapid fire questions I've come up with so far. I made that like a month ago, and now I'm out.
no, come up with more. Maybe it's my turn next. Any closing notes before we tap out per se?
Closing notes. Shout out Venezuela for winning the WBC. Fuck you, Aaron Judge, for going 2 for 11 with like 6 strikeouts and being absolutely useless. Speaking of useless, Mark DeRosa still exists, and I'm excited for opening day.
I'm excited for opening day. I will say, I think they got to fix, like, I don't know if this has always been every WBC, and maybe it's just because it's more prevalent on social media now. But like this year's WBC it was great, but the discourse behind Team USA and how much the MLB teams like got involved with this, it should be more of a like, hey, if you're on this team, the goal is to go win. And if you're like, no, I like the team only wants me to do one, I'll call somebody else. There's other dudes who want your spot. There's no reason why Tarik Skubal should not have been in the game against Venezuela. There's no reason why Mason Miller's not in the ninth. Like, and his answer was, well, I'm honoring the Padres. I don't care. Win the game.
Yeah, I mean, same with Venezuela. Like their closer, the stipulation for him coming in was that he can only come in if Venezuela is winning in a save situation. You can have him come in for the save. That is the only time he can come in. So they did the same stipulation with Mason Miller. Would you love for him to come in there? Sure, I'm comfortable with Whitlock. That's all a pre-planned move. Like, did it work out? No, but it's okay. I am 100% with you on the fact that you can't handcuff me all tournament. That's
This is this is
ridiculous.
this is baseball's World Cup. Like the Premier League teams are not telling Team England, "Hey man, he's on a minutes restriction." Don't No, they all are going to go try and win for their country. And it's the same thing in the Olympics. Like when the NHL guys went over to the Olympics, is it unfortunate Crosby got hurt? Yeah. But Crosby would give his life for Canada. I think the problem, maybe this is what it is with the BBC. I don't want to cut you off, but I think because we had the Olympics happen and we had the high of like we're seeing rep Team USA very proudly, and then we get the World Baseball Classic and you got a lot of guys what feels like they're going through the motions almost. It kind of like took away from what should have been a phenomenal WBC. Bryce Harper's 2-run home run. What a juice shot, right? Gonna go, you're gonna miss it in history. But I think with WBC, you either gotta tell like the teams like it's all or nothing. If you're hesitant on giving us a guy, you're gonna ruin your own product because the product of the WBC was awesome. The crowds were awesome. Japan, Dominican Republic, Miami, Houston, all great crowds. And you're gonna handcuff us in the championship doesn't make. I get the stipulations. I understand that portion, but I think you're agreeing with me. Those stipulations should never have been instituted in the first place.
I think the issue is the timing of the tournament. If this tournament happens in June or July, right, and we killed the All-Star game once every 4 years for this tournament, I don't think you have the issue. But even then, when it comes to like the All-Star game, they only throw one inning. They only get two, three at bats. Like it's nothing long and crazy. I think that has to be negotiated in the CBA deal and the collective bargaining that's happening. And I think that will get done, especially with the Olympics coming up this upcoming summer. It's going to be a huge thing that they're going to bring up and be like, look, we're representing our country in this in the middle of July or June, whenever it's happening. And you can kiss my ass about the season. I don't care. I'm representing Team USA. I'm representing Venezuela, Puerto Rico, whatever it is. I'm representing my country, and you can kiss my ass. So I think that's where the players are going to come from. And if it means I got to dish out my own money for the insurance, if somebody's got to sponsor me, they'll have to figure that out then and there. But that's going to be another thing and another reason why it's going to take so long for this collective bargaining and this lockout to be over with at the end of the season.
Agreed. But congrats to Venezuela. Uh, Dominican Republic, USA was amazing. This last game was amazing.
Venezuela and Italy was fantastic. I mean,
But
all four
phenomenal
teams
game.
so deserving of winning it. I'm not even like I'm sad the USA didn't show up, and I felt like the offense never showed up. But it's nothing but tip my hat, and I love that Venezuela won and won with such class.
And with that, he's hammered. I'm homered. Follow us on all platforms. Catch you on the flip.